Hello and happy holidays. Wherever you are, we hope you're having an amazing start to your holiday season. And today we have a special holiday ISSA talk planned for you. So we've got two people, not just one expert, but two this time. The first is our best-selling author of Jailhouse Strong, and he's also written and contributed to many ISSA certifications, such as tactical conditioning and bodybuilding. And as if that weren't enough, he's also trained world record-breaking athletes. Who else but none other than Josh Bryant. Hello, Josh. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Aaron. I appreciate it.
We always love chatting with you. So we've got Josh. We also have a new person joining us today that you may that has also contributed for our nutrition conversations. And so Sky Halliday is an ISSA certified group fitness instructor. She's also been featured in Oxygen magazine, and she trains clients at all levels to help them achieve sustainable results. And recently, Sky is also a certified DNA fitness coach. So Sky, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Erin.
So how we want to talk about this today is, as a personal trainer, the holidays are always a little tough for clients and even for ourselves, right? Because we've got so much stuff going on. So the first thing, and Josh, you're usually with some pretty hardcore clients. Sure. And Sky is more of working with the general population. So let me start by asking you, Sky, how difficult is it right now to keep, especially with everything else going on, to keep clients committed to their original goals that they've been working on the other 11 months of the year?
I think right now, especially this year, it has been tougher than most years. I work with clients not only here in Arizona where I live, but I train virtually as well. And some people are dealing with gym shutdowns and now winter season, so you're stuck inside even more. So I think this year, as the holidays roll around, it's even tougher than normal. I would say the holidays are always a little bit tough for people because it's kind of that, do I, don't I indulge? How far can I indulge? Am I going to ruin all the progress I made? So I've had a lot of real honest conversations with clients lately of, it really comes down to what your goals are. Like you shared how Josh is working with more elite athletes. I'm sure their approach to the holidays are significantly different than a more general population person who gets in the gym and eats well so they have energy to chase around their kids or just enjoy life. So I've been kind of trying to tailor my conversations with each client or individual based on what they are even looking to achieve so that we can kind of approach it differently for everybody.
Makes sense. Josh, what about you? What is your typical client dealing with right now?
Well, I can have the opposite problem where sometimes I'm having to encourage people to enjoy it and indulge and that kind of thing. But I think what's interesting about it is what Sky is talking about, what I'm talking about. Generally, it's going to come down to, unless you're like getting ready for a bodybuilding type of competition, that it's going to be like it's sort of a rule of trends. In statistics, they call it a trend. So you look at if 90% of the time you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you don't need to worry about having Christmas dinner or things like that. So I think that's the kind of the beauty of it. If you're doing what you're supposed to, all the other times, go have some, go enjoy yourself, and it's not going to disrupt your fitness goals. I mean, even Doreen Yates, one of the best bodybuilders of all time, ate fish and chips one time a week all the way up to the Olympia, winning it. So, I mean, this won't destroy your goals or anything like that.
So it's really kind of like, if you've been you both said it in your own ways. If you've been doing everything that you should be doing up until now, the other 90% of the time, then having these holiday meals or even, some cookies here and there aren't going to be the end of the world. I'm guessing, Sky, for you, especially if you've got clients that have some, pretty lofty weight loss goals, that there might be a lot of fear involved. Mm-hmm. And so what's your best advice to them on how to balance this? How do you talk them into balancing everything?
Yeah, absolutely. And just like what Josh was saying, I try and take it from the perspective of, in 52 weeks out of your year, if you have between 2 to 4 meals that are off plan or don't really align with your goals, that is not what's going to derail your progress. I think what's more detrimental is exactly what you said, Erin, the fear spiral, the guilty feelings, the shame of enjoying things. And I try and remind people that human beings, more general population, maybe not the same for elite athletes or people competing in physique or bodybuilding shows, but if you're a general population person, food to you is more than just fuel. There is a significant emotional component. There is a kind of tribe component. It's things we do with family. It's what we do with friends. So I remind people that having these meals and enjoying time with your family at an event that happens once a year is just not the time to get on that shame train. It's the time to just slow down. And one of the tips I always give my clients is when you are picking your plate, always, if you can, choose a veggie. If there's a veggie at the dinner, get that on your plate, then add some of the protein. But then for the rest of it, slow down and enjoy it. Really take time to eat. Don't shovel it in and, blow through to your second helping. These are foods that you don't have on a daily basis, so savor it. Savor the time and the company you're with. I, for one, unfortunately won't be traveling for Christmas this year, but every year my grandma and I make homemade cinnamon rolls that these things have more butter in them than I probably have in an entire year in one cinnamon roll. And getting to spend time making it with her and then sit down and eat them together, that is so much more important to me than, counting the macros or the calories of what's in it. So my biggest tool is just slow down, enjoy, and then the next day, you're not going to feel like, gosh, I wish I would have had that. You feel satisfied and can kind of move on back to your routine.
Makes sense. And then Josh, for you, knowing that your clientele is a bit different, you might, I'm guessing you might have to be talking them into, hey, you can still enjoy these things and this is how you do it in a healthy way. So what are you dealing with in terms of what's the nutrition advice that you're giving your high-end athletes?
Sure. So a lot of it's planning ahead. So if somebody is in like a fat loss phase or something like that, we can plan ahead to where they can do what they want on whatever holiday or whatever they're going to do. That's part of it. I think another thing is like shifting your mindset to kind of focus, don't focus on what you can't have, focus on what you can have. I think, if you do get those, this nice meal and stuff, focus on that, not focus on, every day you can't have a cookie and things like that. I think that's really important. I also think a simple tip for anybody is make sure you're staying hydrated because, for instance, even drinking a lot of water before a meal, you won't eat as much. If you ever want to, that's like the old school kind of like 1950s diet is drink a glass of water really fast before you eat a meal because you won't eat as much. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. If you're staying hydrated, you're not just going to gorge yourself. And like Sky was saying, stop and actually enjoy the food. It shouldn't be, don't view it as fuel where you're just trying to wolf it down so you can perform. It's like a social event. And I think, I've been to other countries and stuff. I've noticed that a lot of times outside the US, people stop the meals a lot longer. So you're wondering in France or somewhere how they are, not everybody's, have our obesity rates here. It's because, they stop, they have a glass of wine, they have like a small appetizer, kind of drag it on. So you're not just, wolfing down a bunch of food. And I think, you do those tips, I think you're going to be fine.
To jump in, Aaron, I agree with Josh that we kind of take the mindfulness out of eating the way we do consume food because oftentimes it's very quick, whereas in other countries, meals are more of an event. And so just like you're saying, Josh, take this day, whatever type of holiday you celebrate, and sit down, phone off, enjoying the company. You will naturally eat slower because you're not in any rush. You're not trying to get to the next thing. So you don't look down at your plate and realize, oh gosh, I just ate all of that in 5 bites. You sat for a longer amount of time, savored the food, and then you naturally won't overeat because you're not rushing it. And you can actually listen to your hunger cues of, okay, I'm feeling pretty full. I think I'm done.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this is I had read a little bit of research that was talking about when meals are fully plated in a really nice way, like you're not necessarily using your hands, you have real napkins, you're using nice cutlery. It doesn't have to be the fanciest, but people tend to eat less and slow down a little bit more when the meals are plated. So kind of to Josh's point about, and Sky's too, scarfing it all down. In addition to that, maybe there's also these issues, which I've even seen with myself, like the grazing, because there's like, you know, you're getting nuts and cookies and candy, and there's all this stuff that all over that is very easy to just grab it. So, you know, talk to me about like what you guys, Skye, maybe we'll start with you, what you've been seeing or how you're helping clients with not just grabbing these things, because that's a really big part of the holidays too, right?
Absolutely. So similar to Josh, what he said about drinking water before you eat, I always tell my clients, if your indulgence is Christmas dinner, have a normal breakfast, maybe a little bit less than normal, have a small lunch. So by the time you get to dinner, you're not in that hangry, starving mode where every single thing out on the table, you're grabbing and shoving in your mouth. Same thing, you know, I have a lot of clients who do Christmas brunch. So I say, okay, brunch is going to be your biggest meal. You don't need to stop eating after that time for a later lunch or a dinner, whatever your next meal is. Include a lot of vegetables, drink a lot of water, and enjoy it. But I think oftentimes when food is there, it's kind of subconscious. It's that habit of, oh, there's M&Ms on the table. I'm going to have some of those. Oh, there's a nut mix. And then pretty soon you filled up on things that aren't really even your favorite meals from the holidays. So I would say, again, the idea of slowing down, and when you see the bin of M&Ms, I'm using that example because my mom always has them out, those red and green M&Ms. It's kind of that habit, oh, I'm going to reach for a handful, but thinking, okay, do I actually want this, or do I want cinnamon rolls with my grandma, or would I rather have an extra helping of my grandma's potatoes, things like that, kind of weighing it of, do I actually want it, or is it just there? And that does require some of those mindfulness tools of what Josh was saying too, about you don't need to deprive yourself. So just because it's there doesn't mean you have to eat it. If you're doing what you're supposed to do for the majority of the year, you could have M&Ms on a regular old day. Maybe, you know, obviously not every day, but you could have a pack of M&Ms. I'm not going to have the same type of dinner I do on a weekly basis that I do when my grandma cooks for our whole family. So just kind of cluing into, do I want this, or is this a habit?
Awesome. Anything you want to add about that, Josh?
I think I would agree with what Skye said right there. And I think we have to be careful of not letting this compound into a snowball effect where, you know, okay, I indulged on Christmas dinner like I had planned on. So like the next day, you know, you just kind of, like you're saying, eating stuff you don't really want. It's great if you're indulging because it's something you want to do. But if you don't really want something, the day after, it can easily become, you know, a day can become a weekend, can become a week. And then all of a sudden you're worse off than when you started eating, you know, healthy in the first place.
I am so thrilled that you brought that up, Josh, because where I was about ready to go, and now we'll go there, is the concept of inertia. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion, right? So even though it's like a handful of M&Ms, you know, you know, clients can also start realizing that if I were to keep doing this small thing, this small handful of M&Ms, and maybe this, you know, peppermint mocha, and all of that's going to keep me moving down that path versus, all right, I'm going to drink some water and go for a walk or go get a workout in or whatever. What are some tips that you guys use with your clients to avoid that snowball effect and to avoid that, like, now we're in motion in the wrong way, in a really bad way?
I think we just explain and educate them on that 90% rule. If you're following what you're supposed to be 90%, it becomes a lifestyle where the Christmas dinner, the whatever holiday dinner is going to be the exception. And you don't, you know, your lifestyle is 90% of the time you're going to eat healthy, you know, that type of thing. So I think we have to let them know that's okay, but it can easily become 90% the other way for weeks at a time if you let it.
Yeah.
So I think that's key to understand, you know, we're after a majority, not like 100% adherence all the time.
Yeah. Skye, anything you want to add about that? Like how are you able to curb that snowball effect?
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think being aware of what you do most of the time matters more than what you do once in a while. And I tell my clients something as simple as, you know, when you go to a holiday dinner or a holiday brunch, something as simple as don't take home a plate of leftovers. Don't give yourself the option the next day to continue the indulgence, because you should be satisfied with what you had. You don't need to restrict yourself on that day. And if you fully have truly enjoyed what you ate, then the next day should feel almost a motivation of, okay, I had all this great food. I have a lot of energy.
Mhm.
Let's get a good workout in. Let's continue my healthy habits. But I think willpower is a very fleeting thing within humans. And at least speaking for my own self, if you send me home with a big plate of leftovers from my grandparents' dinner, it will be consumed. I'm not going to, try and restrict myself on that. It just won't happen. And so I just tell clients, don't give yourself the option to snowball. Tell yourself, nope, I enjoyed it there at my grandma's house or at my, in-laws, whatever it is. And now I'm going back to my house where I know I have choices, healthy choices I can make there.
It's hard to get yourself out of that mindset. So, what I think sometimes happens with clients is they're doing pretty good up until the holidays, but then there's that holiday hangover, the party's over. I don't want to go back to real life where I count my calories and, I make sure I do the right things. So, like what immediately comes to mind for me with clients is giving them some recipes, healthy recipes that they can use with their leftovers. So if there is turkey leftover, like how do you make a healthy turkey vegetable soup or something like that? Any tips that you have that you can give our viewers and other clients on how they can rebound right away after the holidays? Starting with you, Josh.
Well, I think, one thing you can do right there is you're talking about, going off course and all that so you're saying like you give them a recipe, like if you had turkey and make turkey soup or something like that.
Yeah, like things that you can do with the leftovers so that
Okay.
they're not necessarily feeling wasted. Yeah.
Yeah, I think another thing, is also, sometimes if somebody is really committed, it's okay if they do go off for, somebody that's been with you for a long time. I think we need to touch on that too. Someone that's been like, say a year straight and they're 100% committed all the time. If they kind of do go off course a little bit, that's okay. That's sort of what I've done myself, like on a vacation or something. I'm not going to go to the gym necessarily, but I'm going to make sure I still work out because I don't want to come back and have to start all over again. But, you can do like a 20-minute type of, body weight workout or something like that. The same thing can be applied to nutrition and things like that. So I think there is a time and a place for a really committed client to go on track. And I think you got to keep coming back or off track, excuse me. I think you have to keep coming back to that 90% rule, building those habits. And then it's environment. I think, I think Sky's right. Willpower is weak. And most people, everybody, even the most strong-willed people at some point have a breaking point. So what's your environment? Okay. Well, at the Christmas dinner, the environment is going to be maybe to eat all that food, but you're in charge of your own. You have to take ownership over your own environment. We do have to, let clients know also, at the end of the day, there is responsibility ownership that has to be taken, or everybody be in great shape. So that environment you create at your house is extremely important. Like things like said, not bringing home leftovers. That's huge. Not having snack foods at your house. If you don't need to have like a bunch of chips at your house, if somebody comes over, if somebody tomorrow really wants chips, just make a trip to the store and get them. They don't need to be there all the time. If like your weakness is like, say, beer, you don't need to have a fridge full of beer in case somebody comes over and wants a beer type of thing. So I think you're in charge of your environment at your house, and you have to really, keep that sacred to your goals. And then these other things are a treat. Then you go to these holiday dinners and all that stuff. It's fun. It's a treat. It's a little change of pace and that kind of thing.
Awesome.
I think take ownership over your environment's my main one.
Absolutely. I love it. Sky, any final thoughts on nutrition and surviving the holidays and then rebounding after the holidays?
Yeah, and I liked what you brought up, Erin, about maybe a recipe of what you can do with leftovers. On that facet, I would say if you do take home leftovers, try and take home whatever protein there was. So, in my house, my mom likes to make ham or sometimes short ribs. My grandma usually roasted chicken. Taking home something like that probably is not the leanest choice of the protein you could have. But if you're feeling like, oh, I really do want to enjoy these leftovers, put that roasted turkey or ham with fresh veggies the next day and a cleaner carb. So then you aren't wasting food, but you are still making a good choice. Instead of taking home the macaroni salad and all the potatoes, you can still kind of repurpose that food so you aren't being wasteful. But on that same thought process, Josh, I really agree with you I've had a lot of hard, honest conversations with clients lately of, you just need to be accountable to yourself. Whatever version of you that you want to be, the only person who's in control of that is you. So if your goals are to be an elite athlete, you do need to come back after a day of indulgence and act in a way an elite athlete does. For more of a general population person, your goal is to lose weight to be able to chase after your kids or keep up with, your partner. Again, you have to perform or act in that way. I think oftentimes the holidays can get really tricky because we get into an emotional spiral of, oh, I just went so off plan. I'm never getting back on. I can't ever do this again. And it only takes one meal to get you back on track. Okay, great. You had a big Christmas dinner. What does breakfast look like tomorrow? Add a lot of vegetables, eat a lot of protein, drink a lot of water, have a protein shake, something like that. It really only takes one good choice to be like, oh, wait, I can do this. I've done this before. Let me get my mind right. I am accountable to me because I do have a reason why I started these goals. And I love what you said, Josh, about the environment. Get yourself back into that positive environment where you can be successful. And my biggest thing would be move on. Don't dwell on it, enjoy it, and move the heck on. 2021 is right around the corner. Let's go crush it together.
Excellent. I love it all. So be accountable to yourself. Get yourself into an environment which you can control. Remember, it's really only one good activity that you need to do to turn it all the way back around to the progress that you were seeing before. Find ways to make it healthy. Do things that are going to help you make better choices. Drink water before, have something healthy before you eat the larger meals. I love it. Thank you guys for joining us on the nutrition for the holiday.
Can I add one more thing to that? I think.
Oh yeah.
I think something else that I should have mentioned before is I think if you do go off track and that happens, you can still work out. That's a good thing. So like, say you've said like, the heck with this, I'm doing whatever. I'm going to eat, cookies all day. Doesn't mean you have to stop working out either. If you can commit like 15, 20 minutes a day, that's going to help you stay on track. No matter who you are, it's amazing what those small little kind of workouts can do to kind of help keep you in somewhat of track and not, gain nearly as much as you don't want to get. So I think no matter how far you go off course nutritionally, same thing could be said the opposite way. No matter how far you cannot get to a gym, and there's no way you can do body weight stuff, because of some injury or something, doesn't mean you have to go 100%, off track nutritionally. So I think you can handle one or the other potentially too.
That's a perfect segue because in part 2, we're going to be talking about fitness and workouts and how you can implement that during all of this. So thanks for the teaser, Josh. Perfectly timed. Thank you both. We'll be chatting again very shortly.
Thanks, Arian.
Thank you.